Welcome back to the True Geordie YouTube channel. Now, football pundit Gary Neville has had a lot to say in the last week after the terror attack that happened, and he's talking about hatred and division in the UK. I'm going to be responding to what he says, and I'm really not going to fucking hold back. But before that, we got an ad to run because my sponsors have got something fantastic that you need to check out. And now, a word from our sponsors. The chances are your data is already out there online right now, and companies/thieves and criminals could be easily using that against you without you even knowing. And we all get it. The spam emails, the dodgy phone calls. It's not a coincidence. They've got that from someone. But the good news is Incogni is here to help you make sure that your information stays private. Because these guys who collect all of this data are called data brokers. And they basically sell your information to whoever the fuck they like. And they don't give a shit about the fact that it's your private information. But Incogni will police these guys on your behalf and make sure that your information does not fall into the hands of anyone. And all you have to do is click the link in the description below, create your Incogni account, input the details of the people whose information you don't want out there, and then you just grant them permission to work on your behalf, and they will scour the internet protecting you. And Incogni is risk-free for 30 days, so if you try it and it's not for you, you get a full refund. And the good news is, with my link, you'll get 60% off your annual plan. So take back your data with Incogni. Click the link in the description below, go to incogni.com/Geordie for 60% off.
Just left my house and walking into the office, waking up obviously, seeing the news last night and the news this morning dominated by the horrific attacks within the Jewish community.
Just to be clear, it wasn't attacks within the Jewish community, it was on the Jewish community. The way he's phrased it, you'd think like a Jew went and attacked another Jew. That's not what happened. For whatever reason, Gary doesn't want to say who did it.
I was driving home from Salford City last night. I was driving out to Salford City, going down a Littleton Road, seeing 60, probably 50 or 60 Union Jack flags.
Oh, that's nice. I bet you that filled him with pride. You know, he's seeing them flags after such a horrific thing. People showing the unity, and he's thinking, yeah, we won't let the terrorists win. This is Great Britain standing together, shoulder to shoulder, united against terror.
And on the way back, I went down the parallel road, which is Berry New Road, which has got the Jewish community right at its heart, and they're out on the streets, defiant, not hiding or in fear. And I just kept thinking as I was driving home last night that we're all being turned on each other, and the division that's being created is absolutely disgusting, mainly created by angry middle-aged white men.
Sorry, what? Gary, the guy who did it drove into a bunch of Jews. He jumped out, stabbed them, and he was wearing a fake bomb vest, shouting Allahu Akbar. His name was Jihad. And I know you don't do a lot of research for your football punditry, but it doesn't take a genius to work out this wasn't a white guy. Just to be clear, he was born in Syria, and he was actually out on bail at the time for rape.
Funnily enough, on one of my development sites last week, there was a Union Jack flag put up, and I took it down instantly. And some people might be watching this and thinking, well, Gary, you're not very patriotic. I played for my country 85 times. I love my country. I love Manchester and I love England. But I've been building in this city for 15, 20 years, and there's no one put a Union Jack flag up in the last 15 to 20 years, so why do you need to put one up now?
Why now, he asks. Well, before I answer that, can we just acknowledge how quickly he talked about an actual terror attack where people died, by the way, and people are still in hospital now from it. Doesn't say who was responsible, doesn't say what happened. He immediately wants to vilify middle-aged white men for hanging fucking flags up. In this whole scenario, that's what you make in a video about. Fuck me, mate. Get your priorities right. Why are they doing it now after 20 years? Well, just a hunch, mate. I think people are fucking fed up. I mean, for a start with the terror attack, it's not just one time this has happened, has it? In the last 20 years, we've seen the 7/7 bombing, the Manchester Arena bombing, the London Bridge attack, among other killings. The more it happens, the more people are going to want to start to take a stand. That's just common sense. And Gary's probably not noticed because he's been a fucking millionaire since he was in his 20s, and he's worth fucking, what is it, 70 million now? But it's also probably got something to do with the fact that there's now record levels of mass immigration, record levels of illegal immigration. And I'm not implying that all immigration is bad, but I think people are starting to go, this is out of control for a few reasons. In the last 20 years, we've added 7.5 million people to this country. And even just recently, your hero, Keir Starmer, was forced himself to admit that immigration does not equal economic growth.
The pure theory, if you like, that simply higher migration numbers necessarily leads to higher growth, I think has been tested in the last 4 years. We quadrupled in actually a very short period of time. I think whatever political persuasion you are, it is quite extraordinary that net migration quadrupled in 4 years. We've never seen that before in this country, but growth didn't shift. It stayed stagnant.
So that puts an end to one part of the argument for immigration, that it's just fucking great for the economy. It's absolutely great. It clearly isn't. And even the fucking poster boy for immigration has had to admit that. And when you look at what immigration practically means for our communities, a good example would be the period of June 23 and June 24. The UK grew by 755,300, roughly the size of Leeds. 98% of this growth was due to immigration. Now, Leeds is served by 7 hospitals, 362,000 homes, and 219 primary schools. And by June 23 and June 24, the UK as a whole actually built only 3 hospitals, which is 4 less than Leeds, and 229,000 homes, which is 130,000 less than what Leeds has. And we actually shut down 33 primary schools, meaning more people are competing for fewer services, which reduces the quality of life for everyone, aside from people like Gary Neville, ironically. He doesn't have to worry about any of this, which is probably why he hasn't got a fucking clue. So just to make this simple for Gary, we're bringing in all these people quicker than we can actually manage. What do you think that does to transportation, utilities, house prices, demand for council houses? What do you think that does? I'll give you a clue. It doesn't make life easier, does it, mate? So while you're vilifying these white men, you do well to actually put yourself in their shoes and understand what they're actually facing in the real world. The reality is this country is really struggling. Out of the 43 million people we've got who are working age in the UK, about 11 million of those aren't working. About 8 million of those are on universal credit. And obviously a portion of that is made up from people who weren't born in this country. So that's 25% of the people who are working age aren't actually working. And the ones who are getting taxed to within an inch of their fucking lives. The UK in the last 20 years has seen one of the weakest wage growths in developed economies. We're at about 0 to 2%, depending on what end of the scale you are. Like, the rich people's money's going up a bit, but every fucker else, they're getting shagged. Compare that to America and Germany, who are up 10 to 15%. 0% is shocking. The high earners, the top 10% of the UK, have seen growth of 5 to 10% in that time. But the middle to low earners, they're either exactly the same as they were 20 years ago, or they're actually worse off. This little graph here kind of gives you an indicator. This is around 2008, and we actually get worse and worse and worse. So we're almost identical to where we were, and yet if real wages had have grown at the trend that they were on, we would be up here. People would be over 200 quid better off per week. Now, 200 quid to Gary might be fuck all, but to normal people, it makes a fucking difference. Especially when you consider, right, people aren't making any more money than they were 20 years ago, and yet housing prices, the rent's gone up 30% and the price has gone up 60%. Energy prices are up by 50%, which makes buying a house really fucking hard, as this graph shows here, where you see the blue line is the average salary and the house prices are rocketing. And my parents' generation were all on the property ladder at a very young age. People now are living at home with their parents for longer than ever. And when they do move out, they're renting. They are far worse off than their parents were at the same age. And not for 1 second am I suggesting this is all to do with immigration, it's all their fault or anything like that. But you have to understand the frame of mind the people that you're vilifying are in before you try and judge them in any way. And these people who are struggling then sit down and they watch the government being all so charitable to people coming into this country illegally, stretching the country further and further to a point where last year, apparently, we spent 6.5 billion on illegal immigrants alone. And having seen the full video, Gary obviously makes this about hate speech, in his opinion. And it's like, in these circumstances, people are going to be fucking frustrated no matter what skin colour people are coming into the country. Then when you consider all that, and you also add the fact that we're seeing these news stories constantly of people who have come here illegally and are then attacking people, raping British women and girls when they get here. And again, you talk about what's changed in the last 20 years. Well, here's one thing. In the year 2000, there was 7,801 rapes reported in England and Wales. In the year 2024, that number grew to 71,227 rapes. That's an 813% increase. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a number of factors responsible for that, and I wouldn't ever insinuate that that's all the fault of immigration. But non-UK citizens are only 10% of the population, and yet they are twice as likely. That's 100% more likely to be arrested or charged with sexual offences. And people are noticing it in the fucking news, mate. And when one of these illegals in particular commits a crime like this, they just get a slap on the wrist. Often the sentence is pathetic. It's an absolute disgrace. And then you go back to the frame of mind that these white middle-aged men are in, struggling to make ends meet, seeing these illegals come in, no idea of their background, no fucking clue who it is, being housed often near their fucking families, where their kids are going to grow up. You just try to put yourself in their shoes just for 1 second, maybe, just maybe, you'd have a clue about why they're so frustrated and outraged. Because the UK has gone to fucking shit, mate, in case you hadn't worked that out. But Gary wouldn't want to work it out, would he? He'd rather not work it out. He'd rather not talk to them. He'd rather brand them all fascists, far-right, racists, and stick to his ignorant narrative and just shut down the conversation entirely. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure in these circles where people are flying the flag and being, you know, the way that some people can be, there are going to be racists. There's racists everywhere, including in the people we're bringing into the country, by the way. Funny how people fail to fucking acknowledge that. But there are many normal people who may be putting up a flag, maybe not putting up a flag, just normal fucking people who are rightly concerned about this. And you'd know that if you weren't so fucking out of touch, mate. But you don't have to worry about migrant hotels and anything like that, because you actually fucking own hotels. And I'm sure, knowing Gary the way we do, I mean, obviously he's such a social justice warrior, he'd be more than happy to house the lot of them in his hotel free of charge, wouldn't you, Gary? I'm waiting for that, but I'm sure it's coming, so let's get back to what he's got to say.
Been building in this city for 15, 20 years, and there's no one put a Union Jack flag up in the last 15 to 20 years, so why do you need to put one up now? Because quite clearly it's sending a message to everybody that there is something you don't like. The Union Jack flag being used in a negative fashion is not right. And I'm a proud supporter of England, of Great Britain, of our country, and we're championing it anywhere in the world as being one of the greatest places to live.
It might be for you, you fucker.
We need to check ourselves and sort of start to think about bring ourselves back to a neutral point, because we're being pulled right and left, and we don't need to be pulled right and left at all. I've always said this about, I played in a football team with a group of people from Manchester, a group of people from Ireland, Wales, Scotland, but also people from Africa, people from Asia, people from America, people from Europe, and we were a beautiful team, united as one.
And as much as what Gary's saying there about people coming from all over and being united as one is a beautiful thing, it is a beautiful thing. However, this ain't a football team, Gary. It's a fucking country, mate. And the people coming in aren't highly sought after, talented, multi-millionaire footballers who've been scouted for months and you know everything about them. That's not what's happening. We haven't got a fucking clue who's coming in, often until it's too late, unfortunately. Oh, I played in a football team with foreign multi-millionaires, so who cares about borders and laws? We set laws in the UK for the good of Britain, not for the good of other countries. Funny old thing. The same way every other country is allowed to, by the way. And I completely respect them for doing that, as they should. And Gary doesn't get to decide that we don't need to know who's coming into this country just because he himself is not impacted by it in his fucking gated community. It's probably not even a gate. It's probably just got field for miles and miles. So he's not even touched by anyone else. When you've got an uncontrolled amount of people coming into a country and you don't know who the fuck they are, and let's be real, when you see the pictures of those boats, they ain't a fucking woman and child in sight, man. This ain't the Titanic. They're not invited and they're not following our laws by coming here illegally from the get-go. It causes chaos and fear for anyone who has to live around them, and that's been proven. Epping hotel resident found guilty of sex assault of girl. This geezer here sexually assaulted a woman and a 14-year-old girl. Do you know how long he got? 12 months. He touched the girl and told her he wanted to have a baby with her. Just for context, Lucy Connolly, the one who sat in her house, put a nasty tweet out about said hotels. She got 31 months. She got 3 times the sentence of the guy who actually attacked a 14-year-old girl got. They're telling us literally, saying horrible things about the hotels is worse than coming out of the hotel and attacking a teenage girl. 3 times worse. To insinuate that people are angry about this because they're racist and far-right and nonsense like that is so idiotic, it's unbelievable. People have a right to feel safe in their own country. People have a right to demand taxpayers' money be spent sensibly on what we voted for you to spend it on. No one ever fucking voted for that. No fucking way. People have a right to expect the laws of this country to be upheld. And people have a right to expect people to only come here in amounts that the country can actually withstand. And most importantly, come here legally. You're not a bad person for demanding that. It's called being concerned for your community, actually. But Gary doesn't have to worry about the community or if his kids will be safe in the area living there. Not a problem for him.
The messaging is getting dangerous, extremely dangerous. All these idiots that are out there spreading hate speech in any form and abuse in any form, we must stop promoting them. We must stop elevating our voices towards them. It needs to stop now and get back to a country of love, of peace, of harmony, and become a team again.
Can I just remind everyone, this is a response to a Syrian who went into a synagogue and hacked innocent people to death. And he's given it, I've been building for 20 years, get that flag down. No need for it. Forget who died and how they died and the terror attack. That's not important, all right? Enough about the lives lost, man. He's got to get these flags down. This is one of those moments where you just fully realise how out of touch a celebrity can possibly be. And he's just jumped to a conclusion because he's utterly brainwashed, in my opinion. And he's totally got it figured out why every single person of all those 60 people who had their flags up, he knows exactly why they had their flags up. He doesn't need to go and talk to them. He can read their minds. By the way, he's totally ignored the fact that women are very much also speaking out in their droves, by the way. But they don't fit the narrative because they are a lot harder to demonise than men are. And don't get me wrong, I've seen clips online, as we all have, of racist thugs with flags wrapped around them just being fucking horrible prats. But I don't then think every single person who has a flag outside the house is automatically like that. And ironically, Gary himself would be the first to say that a few extremists don't define an entire religion. But he's been so brainwashed that he can't even see his own hypocrisy and he just wants to shut them down, denounce them, and silence them. And I think one of the reasons he's freaking out so much, because he can tell he's really freaking out here, is he's seeing a change in society that he really doesn't want and he doesn't like. Like, it's one thing seeing it online, but when you're driving to one of your many building sites and you're seeing all of these flags and that, he's like, fuck me, this is really a thing here. We all know he's a huge Labour guy. He practically got on his knees and sucked Keir Starmer's cock. And he's realising people have had enough of the diversity as our strength narrative and they actually want to be listened to for a change. And he knows that Keir Starmer and people like himself have no intention of doing that, which is why Keir Starmer is the most disliked Prime Minister ever. His plan is to simply force ID cards on us, by the way, which is fuck all to do with immigration. We all know that, by the way. It won't help one jot. And Gary can probably see the fact that every political leader, not just in the UK, but in America, all over, they're all campaigning on immigration. And he just doesn't want to face the issues that policies he supported have created, the same way he didn't want to mention who did the terror attack. I heard Simon Jordan call him a coward the other day. That's exactly the way he's behaving. Because he'd rather do the easy thing and attack the white men of this country because it fits his narrative. And no one's going to cancel him by having to go white men, are they? So ballsy, this guy. Wow. No wonder you needed Roy Keane to protect you from Patrick Vieira, you little shit. And again, going back to the flag, it's so ironic because he is blaming the people holding the flags for the division in this country, while accusing them all of having very dark, hate-filled beliefs without even talking to them. All he's done is seeing them with a flag outside the house. If this is in response to the terror attack, which he seems to think it is, right, is that not a very non-violent, tolerant way of protesting such a thing? To get more angry at the flag people than the actual terrorists in this video is absolutely insane. And I've reacted to a lot of crazy shit over the years online, but this is mental. And when it comes to the flag, they said the same thing in America, right? When Donald Trump supporters started having flags outside of their homes, claiming it's about fascism, it's a threat to democracy, it's racist. But the same country who voted for Donald Trump and held those flags outside their homes also voted for Barack Obama twice. Did all those people who clearly jumped ship all of a sudden just say, nah, fuck it, we're racist now? It doesn't make sense, man. But again, it's just a way to demonize people and make them the bad guy to fit the left-wing narrative. In America and in the UK, in my opinion, for a lot of people, not all, because I said there are some lunatics, the flag represents tradition, what America and the UK used to be, back when it was fucking good to live there. And the reason MAGA, for whatever you think about them, and I know a lot of people hate Trump and MAGA and all of that, that's fine, but the reason it was popular was about making the country great again, meaning a return to old-fashioned values, a traditional way of life, away from woke ideology and identity politics. People just want common sense again, where the borders are actually under control and we know who the fuck's coming into our country, and we don't have men dominating women in women's sports. And a lot of people in the UK view the flag as a rejection of what's been forced on them, no matter who they voted for, by the way, Tory or Labour, in the last decade or more. They're trying to take a bit of pride in their country again. Something that is massively under attack in the UK, and I think deliberately. Because if you're proud of your country, you'll actually put up a fight and stop people trying to turn it into rat shit. And that's something I think our government seemed fully intent on ensuring that happens. And if you don't, you've not been paying attention. And I think that that's part of the reason, you know, all of the brainwashing of like, it's terrible to take pride in your country and like, you're automatically a racist. All of that brainwashing is what Gary Neville has been a victim of, because he doesn't speak to normal people. While I understand he will have seen a few clips of racist people, which we've all seen, I just don't think he's seeing the bigger picture at all here. I know blokes who actually live near those hotels. Good blokes, not in any way racist, lovely people, but they want to get as far away from them as humanly fucking possible as quick as they can, because they're worried for their kids because of the dozens of stories we've seen come out, and you don't know who the fuck's there. They just want their kids to be able to play out in the street without fucking being in fear. And I think the biggest mistake Gary's made here is thinking that the people with the flags are the only ones who hold these opinions, and that there's not millions of people, hard-working white men in the middle-aged category, and women, who are fed up with this situation, but they don't have a flag outside their house because they don't want to be outspoken, and that's not, and a lot of British people especially aren't that way inclined. We're very polite, but that doesn't mean a lot of them aren't fucking sick of it, because it's obvious they are. Just look at the polls. It's obvious. And you come back to the actual act that happened of this killer. Someone given refuge by Britain, helped by the British taxpayer to settle here, with all the opportunities and freedom that you get in this country. And with all that, he decided to go and murder innocent people who live here. And yet Gary decides to make the whole thing about middle-aged white men. The same ones, ironically, who supported him his whole career, paid his fucking wages, and thought he was a legend before this. And these blokes have been getting ignored by their government for decades. And after the economic destruction of the country, the terror attacks, the stories coming out about rapes, they've not been listened to. They've decided to put a flag up outside their house, and now they're being shamed for it. But the difference now compared to 5 to 10 years ago is that this woke cancel culture thing, it's not as effective as it used to be. And people are uniting against this stuff more and faster than ever. And that's why Gary's getting the level of backlash he is. And I find it laughable that after accusing people of such darkness, he then says, but we need to love each other at the end of the video. Well, to love each other, we've got to understand each other, Gary, and you've made no attempt to do that whatsoever. And I don't actually think Gary Neville is a bad person. I mean, maybe he is, but I've never thought he was. I've always liked him. I've always thought he'd come across as a good dude. And I actually think on some level, he probably thought he was being the good guy here. But he's just being a millionaire for the majority of his life, and he's completely out of touch with the average bloke on the street. Because he never talks to them. He just pulls their flags down and runs off. And ironically, I'm quite a patriotic person. I love this country. My granddad fought in wars for this country, got shot. He got a medal. You know, I took a lot of pride in that. Maybe I would have put a flag up outside of my house, but it's because of people like him who would immediately think, racist. I never would. It's annoying that this is even a thing. And ironically, you'd have a hard job getting people to fight in an army if we ever did get into a fucking serious war again, because there is no unity. None. And that might be something we need to actually think about as a possibility in the long term. It's not actually a bad thing when people are together and love their country. It's only a bad thing if you're actually trying to ruin it. But Gary's offended a lot of people here, and this wasn't just a joke gone wrong. He meant every word of that. And he's vilified people who had nothing to do with this incident. And I think he owes people an apology. I've made mistakes in my life, you know. You've got to stand up and say, yeah, I fucked up. I said the wrong thing. Be a man. A middle-aged white man at that. And if you do want to step into politics, do it properly. Don't just shut down debate. Actually, there's one thing that I'll give credit for to Charlie Kirk for, who was recently assassinated in America. I'm sure you've all heard that. He was very good at talking to the other side and disagreeing with them in an agreeable way and showing respect, something Gary has not done at all here. And I think there is an opportunity to turn a negative thing into a positive thing and actually bring people together here and actually have a chat with people he disagrees with. Just don't do it at a protest, because they're actually banning those now, according to this lady here, has now put police forces in power to put conditions on repeat protests. They're basically trying to silence people complaining about it all. That really sums up Keir Starmer's entire term, that, doesn't it? Don't stop the boats, just stop people talking about it. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Maybe you disagree with me, maybe you agree with Gary. I don't know, let me know. It's an interesting conversation and one I think is worth having, because silencing the other side is not the right way to go about this. As Charlie Kirk said, when people stop talking is when bad things happen, and that's what we should all be trying to avoid in the UK. Not just insulting the other side and then say, but love each other. Actually bring people together. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you have, please hit the like button, subscribe to the True Geordie YouTube channel. I'll see you on the next one.